Tea and Games. Happy New Year. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new to this channel, also welcome. This is going to be kind of like a haul video, and I say only kind of like a haul video because we did not get all of this stuff at one time, and we did not get it all for Christmas either, but we did get it, so here we go. First of all, there were post-Christmas sales. Let me see if I can still stay in the frame if I sit down, and I am not behind the stack. That's very good. I can even reach my tea. The tea today is Masala Chai from Tea Runners. Very good. Nice and hot, but it is a hot day here. The cold has all gone. So, yeah, I'm in short sleeves again instead of being all bundled up. Just drop stuff. And it wouldn't be a video from Tea and Games if I didn't drop stuff and knock stuff up off the table. That has become my signature move. Hang on. Okay. Anyhow, the madness started with the post-Thanksgiving sales. Note I said post-Thanksgiving, not Black Friday, because I don't think I actually got games on Black Friday. I might have gotten something, but I think a lot of my shopping were sales that were still going on like Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So, the post-Thanksgiving sales, some of those games I've already covered because I got Sunset Over Water, the Pocket Edition, and I've already covered that in a previous video. I got Herbaceous, also from Pencil First Games, covered in a previous video. I got Cartaventura Lhasa, also covered in a previous video. But left over from those, post Black Friday sale thingy before Christmas, I also got Skull Canyon Ski Fest, which is somewhere around here, Trekking the World, and First Rat. Hang on. Yes, this stack here. Nice how I've got it sorted like that. Okay. Here we go. Skull Canyon Ski Fest is one of the games that we played after Christmas. We had a bunch of time off between Christmas and New Year's, and we just played board games like crazy. We're just casual weekend board gamers, so being able to just sit down at the table and play a game every day, any day, whenever we wanted to, was just felt incredibly luxurious and fun. We played this, and I don't know, my husband and I both felt a little mixed on it. It plays okay. We liked it, but we didn't love it. Setup takes a little bit more time than one would really hope for such a light, fast game. And then there's, and it also, I say light, fast game, it actually isn't quite as fast as one would think. It always tends to feel like it goes about a day longer than it should. And by day, I don't mean like an actual day, like, oh God, this game felt like it lasted for days. I mean, that's the way you track time passing on that, is you have 3 days during gameplay. And you're always kind of ready for the game to be over before the third day is over. It kind of felt a little bit on the long side. We liked the Yeti okay. The Yeti worked pretty well strategically. The Yeti cards as wild cards worked okay. The gear cards, some of the gear abilities were really good and some of the gear abilities were so-so. The main thing about buying the gear cards, pro tip here, is that you get fame, and that's basically what's converted to victory points at the end when you run the little ski runs on the board, although some of them aren't that little. And those are traded in for victory points at a 3-to-1 ratio at the end of the game, which is just brutal. But if you spend the fame to buy gear cards, which give you a certain number of victory points, they usually have about a 2-to-1 exchange rate. So, I mean, you might want to hang on to a few fame because there are some special abilities on the gear that will allow you to pay fame to do certain things. But a lot of the reason for buying gear cards between rounds in the après ski phase is in order to get that sweet 2-to-1 exchange rate of fame for victory points. I don't know, we both wanted to like the game more than we did. It's okay, but the problem is we bought a bunch of other games that are not just okay, they are great. So Skull Canyon kind of didn't fare well by comparison. Now, we have not yet played First Rat. I am really looking forward to playing this, but we just didn't quite get around to it. And when you see some of the games we played, you can say, yeah, I can see how you're just not going to be able to play all of these. First Rat just kind of fell off the edge there. It did not quite make the playtime before the holiday was over, but you'll hear more about this when we play it. But we did play Trekking the World. We found out about this, and also Skull Canyon Ski Fest, for that matter, from Dwayne and Alicia over at Blackboard Gaming. And this is a fun game. This is really, really nice. It's got beautiful artwork of the locations, point-to-point movement as you're flying around the world, trying to snap up those cubes and claim locations. But this is a fun little game. I mean, it really, really is. It plays well at 2, but I think it would just really play even better if you get more people around the table. Also, our very first playthrough sort of suffered a little bit because we did not shuffle the location cards as well. So we ended up with only 2 continents in our available locations, and even though we were cycling through them and turning the cards over, we still only had like 2 continents in our first game. So it's like my husband staked out 1 continent and started getting the locations from there and picking up the cubes, and I staked out another continent and started picking up the cubes and the locations. So key point here, make sure those location cards are very, very well shuffled. Although I suppose if you were all on the same continent, it would make for a very tight game as you all tried to get to those locations, which is sometimes trickier to do. And you need to have cards matching the symbols on the locations in order to claim the locations. You get bonus points depending upon where the locations are in the position of the card line. But this is really, really easy to teach and to learn. I mean, you can just pick this up like that. Family weight game, but hardcore gamers should have a good time with it too. And like I said, good artwork, really lovely location artwork. And the map has, oh, you can see the map on the back here. The map has this kind of, I don't know, sort of a retro look, like those old-fashioned maps that my mom would have put up on the wall sometimes. So yeah, it's got kind of the old-fashioned map look, color-coded map look, but at the same time, the location cards are just have stunning artwork. Highly recommend Trekking the World. And that, plus the games that I had mentioned before in previous videos, Herbaceous, Sunset Over Water, and Carta Ventura Lhasa. Those are from post-Thanksgiving, pre-Christmas sales. Then we have Christmas. Christmas, surprisingly, was quite modest in terms of what we got. We did not end up with all of this. And partly, I guess, we showed a little bit of restraint because we had gotten 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games in the sales prior to Christmas. Games that did not go under our tree. So, you know, we just kind of, we were sensible for our Christmas spending. We got bit bowls, which I've put together here. I'm going to pop them loose after this video is over. Actually, I can pop some of them loose here. These are the little silicone balls that got an attached doohickey here, which pops through a hole to make the corner. And when you unpop all of these things, they lie flat. And a lot of gamers use these. I mean, a stack, you see what the stack looks like when it's bowls. But I mean, lying flat means that you can store them very easily, as opposed to, say, cups and bowls. Well, cups and bowls you can stack and nest really good. More than you can nest these, actually. But here's the thing. If you want to go to play a game at your local game store or over at a friend's house, or you're traveling somewhere and you're taking a game with you and the game has got some kind of little fiddly bits that you're going to have to keep track of, and you're going like, oh God, I hope I don't knock them off the table and lose them in the hotel room or something. Bit bowls. Because these things pack flat, these little silicone things pack flat, you can slide these into whatever you're carrying your game in, or into your suitcase or anything. They travel well. So you can just like stick them in a backpack or whatever, and they will go with you wherever you take your game. And that's very handy for games that have little pieces. So that was one of the things we got for Christmas. We also got Silver Bullet. I gave my husband Silver Bullet because he got Amulet and just kind of became locked onto it and obsessed with it, and he loved it. And I got him Bullet, and then I found out that he wanted Dagger. So, yeah, you can kind of guess what happened. After Christmas, we got Dagger. But we got Silver Bullet for Christmas. We played it a couple of times. There were cards in it that we were just not crazy about. But because this is a kind of game where you can... I'm sorry, my tripod is wobbling here, so you're going to get a little bit of flutter because it's stacked on top of 4 boxes. You can combine the decks from Bullet, Amulet, Dagger, and Coin in the Silver series and make your own unique decks. And we combined Bullet and Amulet, which we already have. Did I say he really loved Bullet? I meant he really loved Amulet. We have Amulet, and he really loved that, so I got him Bullet. We played Bullet a few times, kind of got the feel for the deck and the cards and what the powers and unique abilities of the cards were. The cards we liked and the cards we didn't like, the cards that were better than the other cards in Amulet. And so we put together a combined deck, played it through once, and realized that we had somehow or other managed to leave out a card that would give protection to cards to keep your other players, your neighbor or whoever, from messing with your cards. So we rejiggered things and swapped out the 3 so that we would have a protection card in there. We're still a little iffy on a couple of other cards, but now that we've got Dagger, that opens up new possibilities. But we are going to, here's Dagger. Isn't that little creature adorable? Dagger is not like Amulet or Bullet. If you've played Amulet and Bullet and you think, oh yeah, you do this and you do that, and all the decks have this and some of the decks have that, and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, you're really not ready for Dagger. Dagger is not like, which one of these things is not like the other? That would be Dagger. It's got some pretty unique cards and abilities. And so we're still playing it and getting a feel for the deck. And I don't know. I think it might be a little tricky swapping in some of the cards from Dagger to a combined deck, swapping the numbers out and everything, because the Dagger deck is pretty tight. The cards work really, really well together. And I'm not sure how well some of them would work with cards from the other deck, but they're very, very interesting, and they're very unique, which also makes me wonder how we could get really good advantage from the Dagger cards, how to make them work really well with some of the other cards. So this is going to require a little bit more thought before we do anything with that. I may do a video on Silver because I know we're going to get Coin, because I mean, once we started doing Bullet, and then Robert had to have Dagger too, and so we got Dagger, and then we started playing. We played a lot of Silver over this holiday, which is why a lot of other stuff didn't get played. But Bullet was my present to him for Christmas. And he got me Micro Macro Crime City. And we have had a lot of fun with this. It really is a lot of fun. You have a giant map with teeny tiny little writings, figures and buildings and things on it, like a giant city. With crime all over it. If you look really closely, and they give you a magnifying glass to go with it, there's like little crimes going on all over the map. And you have these cards which you put into envelopes. Do not look at the back of them. Which you turn over, which gives you clues, which tells you find this on the map. And once you've found it on the map, then you check your answer on the back side of the card and go on to the next clue. And there are 16 crimes in the box. Some of the crimes are more suitable for all ages than other crimes, and they are coded that way, so moms and dads can pull out cards that might have inappropriate stuff. But we've had a lot of fun with this. It does take up an entire dining room table. Make sure your dining room table is of a good size. If you have like a kitchen table or a little dining room table that's like a little round sucker, that's not going to work. You need a large flat surface for this. The map is ginormous. You can see the map here. You can't tell how big it is. You can see the kind of drawings that they have on the map. But it is a lot of fun, and I know that people have had complaints about other deduction games. It's like, well, you get all these clues and you figure everything out and you say, well, if this, then of course that, and that means that this and that, and then you get to the end and the answer is something totally different. You're going like, oh, come on. There's no way you could have come to that conclusion from these clues. And that's a complaint I've seen about a number of mystery-solving games. But no, this is pretty spot on so far. We have done 4 of the 6, including the introductory one. We haven't gotten to the hardest one. They are graded in terms, you don't have to do them in a particular order, but they are graded in terms of not only content suitability for kids, but also in terms of difficulty level. So we're still doing ones that are not at the top level of difficulty. We're just inching our way up through mid-level difficulty at this point. And also, I got my husband for Christmas Carcassonne Big Top expansion. Carcassonne is his favorite game, and I went on a bit of a buying binge, picked up 2 or 3 expansions this past fall, because I wanted to get all the ones that are in print of the major expansions. We also have some mini expansions because we got the big box for Christmas a few years ago. But we now have all the major expansions that are in print. There's one major expansion that I believe is not in print. I think it's number 7, but this is number 10, the last one. And we played it. Funny thing, he likes the circus pieces and tiles in this, and I like the acrobat pieces and tiles in this. So he mostly drew the acrobat tiles, and I mostly drew the circus tiles, because of course that's the way it goes. There's also a special, besides the circus tent meeple piece, there's also a ringmaster meeple, which honestly, I don't think he and I really utilized to its fullest ability. This is going to need more plays, but we both liked it. It wasn't a knock 'em out of the park, everybody needs to get this kind of expansion like Abby and Mayor and that one that I talked about a couple of videos ago. It's one of those with the long titles. They all have long titles. So anyhow, and this Leaning Tower. I hope I don't end up buried under boxes. Yes, I have covered Christmas. But you see, there are post-Christmas sales too. So that was kind of a thing. Half Price Books had a sale on some stuff. And of course, their prices are always pretty good on used games. And they also sometimes have new games. I snagged this absolutely pristine copy of the classic, I think it's from 1986, something like that. It's from back in the 80s, Labyrinth, which neither my husband nor I had ever played before. I saw a video, a how to play video on this over on Watch It Played. I'll put a link to some of this stuff down below in the description. And after watching it, I looked at that and I thought, that looks like a lot of fun. It's kind of a kiddie game because it's super simple. I mean, you just do not need any brain cells to learn how to play this. It's got a board which has a grid of fixed dungeon tiles on it with pathways, and it forms crisscrosses of pathways where you can put in other tiles between those tiles so that you have what amounts to movable columns and rows. And you have one tile left over on your turn. You slide the tile in on one of the arrow aisles, the aisles that have the arrows, which are the ones with the tiles that have been placed rather than fixed tiles blocking it. And you just go and you move them, and that changes the pathway of the dungeons. Everybody in the game has a set of cards that have treasures, quote unquote, on them. And I put treasures in quotes because I have to ask, is a bat really a treasure? Is a spider a treasure? They do have gems and treasure chests and things that people recognizably think of as treasures, but they also just have random stuff like skulls and bats and things. Mind you, I think bats are very valuable creatures in the ecosystem, but I do not normally think of them as being a treasure in a dungeon situation. We had a lot of fun with this. You can learn how to play this game in about, I don't know, less than a minute. It's definitely family weight, kid friendly. Plays, I think, up to 4. You can see on the back here what I'm talking about the tiles and the dungeon pieces. There is a grid of fixed tiles and you cannot push on those rows. When you push one tile out, that tile stays there at the end where it came out, and then the next player must put it in someplace else on one of the movable columns or rows besides where it just came out. And that's kind of like the only rule. You have treasure cards that have little symbols on them that are on various tiles here, and you're trying to get to the tile that has the matching symbol of your top card, and you don't look at any of your other cards. There is an easier kiddie version where you lay out all of your cards face up and you turn them over, and basically you just get them in what order you can. But bear in mind, when you're trying to get these things, you cannot strategize ahead of time, because you're figuring out how I'm going to get from there to there. But the next person, he's or she is moving those tiles, and your pathway that you were figuring out is then broken. You're going like, well, I could slide that in there and get to it easy, but no, that pathway ends up broken, and maybe somebody else takes a turn, and then the pathway ends up broken. So you're like going, okay, this has made a path there. And so, ooh, yeah, can I do that? Yes, that will go there. If I push this in there, that will make that connection here, and I can do it. And it is so much fun. I mean, it's kind of simple and hard at the same time, but it is a tremendous amount of fun. I highly recommend this, particularly if you've got kids. It's family weight. If you don't have kids and you just want a game that you can just sit down, just drop it onto the table, put the tiles on it, and just go. I mean, the setup takes nothing, even though you're laying the tiles over there. I mean, you can set this up in nothing flat, and it plays pretty quickly too, though you do have a bit of thinking time because you cannot strategize while somebody else is taking their move, because they're going to move things on that board. Another thing we got at Half Price Books, whoa, I need to find some place to put this. Another thing we got at Half Price Books is, this was still in shrink, it's new. It's an Uwe Rosenberg game called Reykholt. And it is set in Iceland, and there's geothermal energy, and you're growing stuff. So that kind of sounds like it's right in my wheelhouse. Uwe Rosenberg, growing stuff. Iceland sounds nice. And it's got, don't need the bit bowls for this one. It's got these little bins that you put together that you can put all the little pieces in. It's got really, really nice components. Very, very pretty artwork. Yes, I opened this up and punched it right away. Lots and lots of fun. And And those were the two we got at Half Price Books, I think the day after Christmas. And then on to Barnes & Noble, which also had, yeah, this is kind of turning into a haul video, isn't it? Barnes & Noble, which also had sales. And there we got, we have never played Dice Throne. No, we've never played Dice Throne. And I asked in a couple of game groups, and the consensus was unanimous. Everybody said, if you want to try it out, you should try Barbarian versus Moon Elf, Season 1 rerolled. So that's what we got, and we're going to give Dice Throne a try. We have not tried it yet. We have not played Recult. We did play Labyrinth, but Dice Throne is still in the to-be-played stack. And we also got... You notice a theme here? Uwe Rosenberg game, another Uwe Rosenberg game, New York Zoo. I know that Ark Nova is the big zoo game right now, but I don't know, I just kind of thought, well, if I'm going to get a zoo game, I really want to get New York Zoo. I mean, I've seen the playthrough of it. Oh, I got to remember to put a link down there. Monique and Naveen over at Before You Play, they have a playthrough video of New York Zoo. It's also one of Michelle over at Second Star to the Left's favorite games. Lots of good recommendations, lots of good thoughts on this. A lot of people like this game. It does not get, it kind of got overshadowed once Ark Nova came out. Everybody's going like, oh, I must get Ark Nova. It is the new hotness. If you want a zoo game, this is a pretty good zoo game from everything I've seen. And I'm really looking forward to playing it. It's got adorable meeples, of course. But it's also got really beautiful artwork, too. The artwork, the colors are slightly more subdued than the cover art. And also on sale from Barnes & Noble, we picked up My City. This is a legacy game. We have never played a legacy game. So I did my research on it, and I did my research on legacy games, and a lot of people do like this, and based upon what I know, I felt like that this would be a good one for us to try a legacy game, because I don't like the idea of making permanent changes to a game. That just bothers me. I don't like that at all. My husband doesn't like that idea at all either. So that kind of makes legacy games a no-go for us, because neither one of us are willing to make permanent changes to a game, and we like replayability. So why My City? My City has a legacy side of the board in which you go through and you play the game and you make changes. But it also has a forever game in the box in which you can play it over and over again without making permanent changes to the game. So I thought if we were going to try out a legacy kind of thing, that this would be the way to go, because we could play it legacy, and then we would still have a game we could continue to play after we finish the legacy game campaign. So, I mean, we are kind of looking forward to trying some new things in the new year with Dice Throne and My City. And also, finally, at Barnes & Noble, I just stumbled onto this by accident. I thought we were headed for the cash register, and this caught my eye. This is the 25th anniversary edition of Bonanza, which was Uwe Rosenberg's first game. Yes, you notice a theme here: New York Zoo, Recult, Bonanza. He's a really good game designer, and this was his first game. It's a little card game. This has got a ton more cards than what the base game has in it. It's got cards for the base game, cards for a variant which plays specific player numbers. It has got a 2-player variant in this, which we've played, and we enjoyed it a lot. But something you should know is there is a 2-player version of this game called Bonanza the Duel. And the dual version in the 25th anniversary box is different from what you get boxed in Bonanza the Duel, because, again, Monique and Naveen did a playthrough of Bonanza the Duel. And it's got different rules and different components than what you will get in the 25th anniversary box. It's still a lot of fun, but it is, I think, a little bit less complex of a game than what you would get if you bought the duels separately. This also has new game boards for the game where you're planting your bean fields, 25th anniversary. Postcards of the designer and the artist. And it's got, let me see if I can find it here. No, I guess I cannot. It has got new cards, magpie cards, which are cards that were done especially for the 25th anniversary edition. And they do not have numbers on those cards, the magpie cards. Ah, there they are. Magpie beans. And of course, somewhere in the rules, it tells you how to play with magpie beans. The rule book is quite fat. It's got a lot of different variants for different player numbers. It also comes with a nice heavy, actually not as heavy as I thought, gold coin, which I think can be used in one of the games, one of the versions of the games. But we're happy to have this. It has kind of been on my wish list for a while, but you know, it's like it just kind of, I never really, I couldn't decide. I knew I wanted to get Bonanza, but then I didn't know whether I should get the regular version of Bonanza, which plays, I think it plays several players. I didn't know, at least 5, maybe more. I didn't know whether or not to get the regular version of Bonanza because it's a fun game to play with a large number of people, or if I should get Bonanza the Duel because my husband and I, we normally play 2-player games. So while I was dithering over that, the 25th anniversary edition came out. So now I had 3 choices, you know. My brain kind of went into gridlock. I'm going like, I don't know what I should get. And then Barnes & Noble was having a sale, and I spotted the 25th anniversary edition, and I just said, what the heck? Let's get it. So anyhow, and I left some of the cards out. Sorry about that. Anyhow, that is kind of sort of what we've been doing. We played Bonanza and liked it a lot, the 2-player version. It is less complex than Duel. We played Labyrinth. We played Skull Canyon Ski Fest. We played Silver Bullet, Silver Dagger, and a combined Amulet and Bullet. We played Micro Macro Crime City 4 times. We played Under the Big Top once. Actually, all of these games we played more than once, 3 or 4 times in some cases, maybe more with Silver. All these games we played more than once except for Under the Big Top, the Carcassonne expansion. And we liked everything we played. Skull Canyon Ski Fest is still a little iffy with us. It's not bad, it just doesn't click the same way the other ones do. And that pretty much wraps up what we have been doing over the holiday. But some of you may already have known some of this because, not everything, I didn't post all of the ones we bought, but I've been posting the stuff we played as posts, which show up on the community tab and should be showing up in your feed if you're a subscriber. Though posts tend to kind of get buried in the feed a little bit, the subscription feed. They're not going to show up on the home feed only. But if you're subscribed to a channel, you'll see their posts as well, and you should be seeing mine. And so I just kind of like bombed the community tab with posts of what we were playing as we played it to sort of fill in the gap there between videos, because it's been a while since I did a video. And I really appreciate all of y'all subscribing, and I am looking forward to, oh yes, I had one more thing here. We got these after Christmas. You can see they are card holders. They are curved, and they've got a slot running along here. We use them when we play Bonanza because you cannot change the order of your cards. So that way we could put the cards in and basically just pull cards off of one end and slide new cards in the other end. And it made hand management a lot easier and smoother. We have some big chunky multi-level card holders that we use sometimes for Ticket to Ride. because we just end up sometimes with just a staggering number of cards in that game at times. But I thought that this was a particularly elegant solution for a game, you know, for playing games where you didn't necessarily need multiple levels or huge numbers of cards. But you did need to have some way of arranging the cards, or in this case, not arranging the cards. But as I was saying, before I so rudely interrupted myself, thanks for liking, subscribing, commenting, being there, and hanging out with me. We are going to be playing a lot more games in the new year, as you can see. I need to do another video about what to do about that unplayed game shelf, because we do have some carryovers from last year and the year before, in addition to this stuff. And I guess that will be the next video, unless we play something really interesting. We will see you next time around the table. Bye!